Nigel Farage is, of course, the leader of Reform. He joins us now from London, connection all in place, and we now get the chance to have a chat. Mate, as always, plenty of defections taking place, but you're starting to notice again, and I have to ask you what I did last week, which is so many parallels between what's happening in the United Kingdom and what's happening here in Australia, with now, the closest version that we have here in One Nation now being in front of the Liberal Party, and in a scenario now where we're starting to see the defections happen. So any free advice for Pauline about how you manage a defection? Who do you let in and who do you keep out?
Well, it's a good question. And, of course, don't forget, this happened in Canada many, many years ago when the Conservative Party was replaced by Reform and then took it over. Right across Europe, you've seen traditional Conservative parties being replaced. Pauline, I want to say this to you. If people are coming to you because they want to save their own political skins, reject them. Reject them. If they're coming to you, they've had consistent track records of standing up and saying the right thing, and they're prepared to put their shoulder to the wheel to genuinely help you, then take them. And I think getting it right is very, very important, because your own supporters are there because they feel so let down by the Liberal Party in the case of Australia. And so what you have to do is make sure you don't end up looking like them.
Yeah, it's a similar thing that should happen here, what you're about to do, which I think May is the cut-off. So an existing MP who wants to make a move, they can have the conversation, but it's May is the cut-off for you, isn't it? And we're talking literally in a couple of months, which is still a couple of years out, but it's not going to be 5 minutes to midnight where people can run to Reform before they hit the exit door.
Well, that's right. And May the 7th this year, we have a set of elections in this country. The whole of Scotland, the whole of Wales are voting for their parliaments. All 32 London boroughs are voting. Thousands of other council seats around the country, although they've cancelled quite a few, which seems unbelievable. And these are our midterms. This is the biggest electoral test between now and the election. So if you're serious about joining Reform, come and do it now. Give us a hand. Now,
10 years this year, of course. 2016 is when Brexit happened. You shocked the world, a precursor to Trump and all of the revolutions that have happened since. It is extraordinary that there are still ties that bind to Europe after the people said, we're done, we're in charge of what the UK does.
Well, actually, it's worse than that, because we have an unimaginative Prime Minister in very, very deep trouble. And piece by piece, he's tying us back ever more closely to the European Union, as if somehow that's going to give us an economic miracle, when actually their economies, it seems hard to believe, but they're doing even worse than we are in many cases. So, yeah, we never properly left. Legally we left. Constitutionally we left. But we still stayed part of the Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg, which has made it very difficult to deport foreign criminals, even people suspected of terrorism. And now, piece by piece, Starmer wants to take us back ever closer. And, you know, frankly, it was the biggest democratic exercise in the history of our nation. And people have been treated with contempt, quite frankly. And that's one of the reasons why what you're seeing with Reform is like a seismic aftershock of the earthquake that was Brexit 10 years ago.
But also, again, because we're feeling this, and yes, it's in delay to what you've gone through, but it is this idea where rather than the people that are saying, well, hang on, we were the authors of the problem, but we also sort of pretended to offer the solution, now believe us this time, there is a generation of people who say, you know what, no. You've done it a million times. I've been loyal to you. I've lost my friends over it. I've won my colleagues, whatever, right? But now is the time for not a bull in the china shop to destroy everything, but for somebody to deliver on what we've always been told the other team believed in.
It's about keeping promises. And what you've seen, certainly in my country, where Boris Johnson got that massive majority, elected as a Conservative, but governed as a Social Democrat on the centre-left. And you've seen that pattern again and again and again, the complete lack of courage, frankly, of those on the centre-right to stick to what they promised the electors. And you're right, people literally feel betrayed by these old parties and they want something new. And boy, it's happening quick in Australia too, isn't it?
Yeah, my oath. Let's talk about the Epstein files and the Andrew of it all. I mean, the Prime Minister trying to pretend as a way of having a response to things, oh, yes, he should go before an American congressional committee. Well, there's no capacity for that to be compelled or to happen. So what are your thoughts on what we learn as even, well, deeper ties than we already knew, but certainly more detail on how deep those ties were?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I mentioned 37 times, but I never met him. I never went to the island, all right? They were just talking about me, so I'm cleared on this one, absolutely. Secondly, for the royal family, what began as an embarrassment is now turning into a disaster. And this is the biggest crisis the royal family has faced since the abdication of Edward VIII way back in 1936. And as far as Lord Mandelson's concerned, he was leaking confidential cabinet information that was market sensitive directly to Epstein, timings of bailouts for Eurozone countries, etc. But he was also talking about things such as tunnels underneath number 10, security information he was giving to Epstein. And the big question now, number one, he's obviously clearly guilty of misconduct in public office, but has he broken the Official Secrets Act by telling people outside of government about our own internal security arrangements? And I have a feeling that this scandal is only just beginning.
Yeah, what capacity does the Parliament have to deal with that? Because obviously he's a person who previously had high office, previously had, of course, been an ambassador, resigned from both, and I think has even resigned party membership now. Is there a capacity as a politician for you to be able to call him before a body to ask questions, or is that the purview of the majority party, that being the government?
Yeah, I mean, look, he could be stripped of his peerage, his lordship, but that would require a specific act of Parliament, and it hasn't happened, actually, for over 100 years. But more importantly, is he going to be prosecuted for misconduct in public office? Are questions going to be asked about breaches of the Official Secrets Act? And if it was to go down that road, you'd then be looking at a trial and possible custodial sentence. This is a very, very serious situation. And I find it hard to believe that a man who's got a high IQ, a man who was supposedly intelligent, has made errors of judgment on this scale. And don't forget, twice before he was kicked out of British cabinets, once for a home loan scandal, another for a passport scandal. But this is, I mean, I have to say, this looks on the face of it to be criminal behaviour.
Extraordinary. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.